everybody, to this fourth session of the global meeting on Equinox spring or March of 2025. The theme for the entire event is relating. How do we relate to each other and to the planet, and basically relating on very many levels. We have now reached the Middle East, where the sub-theme is life experience. We'll get back to that. Let's see. The session will be 2 hours. This is a slightly longer session because after this there will be a 2-hour break. So, and we have a lovely lineup waiting for us. But first, I'm Martin Iverson. I'm calling in from Gothenburg, Sweden. And here's Lena. Lena is the super host of these events. Say hi.
Hi, I'm the super host of these events.
And also with us, helping out as the wizard he is Robert McTague. Always the guy that actually makes things run smoothly.
I'm the mini host.
You have the mini me. Sorry. Yeah. So the theme is relating, as we said, and so we are maybe into some practical details, Lena.
Yeah, I just want to say two things. One is that if you're not one of the hosts, or if you're not actively speaking in one of the Q&A sessions, or a speaker, please keep your microphone on mute, because otherwise the picture will follow you, and if you sneeze or do anything else, you'll be on video sneezing. So uh, and it becomes quite the hassle of editing things if people have a radio in the background or anything, because you end up taking the screen. So please keep your microphone turned off. We've had one experience of a rude participant, and I ended up using the mute button, and we solved it that way. But we are very open to disagreement. We do believe in freedom of speech, but we also believe in polite conversation and treating each other with respect. So on that note, I will hand the steering wheel back to Martin.
Thank you. And before we get started with some more activities, there's a link in the chat for those new to this session. Please click the link, and then you can go into, then that'll take you to a website, which is a map. Down to the right on your screen will be a round sign with a plus in it. So if you press there, you can pinpoint yourself on the map, which is a lot of fun because we want to show the world that what we already know, that this is a truly global event. But so please fill that in. And while you're doing that, you could sometimes it's good to go back to why are we doing this thing? Well, first of all, it's really fun to spend time with such amazing individuals as you all are in this meeting. It's also special times. So we can quote the Schuman Declaration from 1950 after World War II, which stated that world peace cannot be safeguarded without the making of creative efforts proportionate to the dangers which threaten it. And I think those words ring as true today as 75 years ago. So that's actually, you know, in all humbleness, what we're trying to do. Create better ways for us to learn and relate to each other so that we can be, okay stewards of this planet and our lives together. That is that's the task at hand that some people take seriously, others don't, but we do. So, we have a question for you, or we would like you to take 2 minutes and a piece of paper, and a pen, or your brain, but please, not the chat at this point. We would like you to give us 3 words that answer what you see on the screen. What makes us relate better to other people and or to the planet? What will happen is our wizard Robert will take all these words later on and make them into a word cloud, so you can actually see how our brain looks, our collective brain. So take 2 minutes in quietude. Shared experience, yeah. Shared realities, that type of thing, yeah. Hope. Thank you. Openness, mutual understanding, acceptance of other cultures. Perfect. Um, keep it going if you're not, you can always add a bit later, but not too late because Robert needs to compile things in the behind the scenes. Um, but thank you for that, and it really puts a good note or sets the scene for what we're trying to do here. Lena, today we have 3 sessions in sub-sessions in this session. We were supposed to be hosting Eliane Metni from Lebanon. Right now, she's in a car told to evacuate from southern Lebanon. She seems to be doing fine, but she cannot reach a computer at this point. Let's see and hope that she can join later. Apart from that, so there will be a session, and Lena will kind of step in here, I think. And then we will have Hela Nafti from Tunisia speaking, and then also we have Nargis Zadran from Afghanistan, now living in the United States, speaking from their different angles. I think first over to you, Lena.
Thank you. So yeah, so I will do what Eliane and I had talked about that she was supposed to do. But first, I will which is about life experience and how important it is that we learn from our mistakes. But I will start by framing the context and why we're doing this. And it is as Martin said, we need a global conversation. We need to be creative. We need to collaborate about being more creative than the forces that are trying to destroy us or harm us. And a year ago, when we had the global meeting on Equinox, we do this twice per year on Equinox when the day has the same length around the globe. So we share that, we share the planet, and we share that experience. And it's actually fascinating bicycling to the office here in the morning to be here at 5 o'clock to start up the whole thing at the 6 o'clock in the morning Danish time because it's just getting light. And at 6 o'clock tonight it's just gonna be about getting dark. And it's the same experience around the globe, 6 o'clock ish. It will be getting either dark or light depending on where we are. So and also, well, daylight saving time has started in the US, not in Europe yet. But of course, we do not coordinate that. So now there's a 5 hour difference between Copenhagen and New York, and not the 6 hours that we usually have. But nevertheless, we share the planet and the sun and the tours around the sun. And a year ago, in March, we launched this book, What It Means to Be Human, and it has essays about Bildung traditions from around the globe, from 14 different writers. And the title really appealed to people, so we decided to keep the title for the global meetings on Equinox, at least for now. So that's sort of the overall theme for why we're having these discussions. And then we have a theme for each of the events. Last time it was cooperating. How can we cooperate better? And this time it's how can we relate better? And why not connect and why relate? Well, one reason is that connections can be exploitative. They can be abusive, they can be corrupt. Whereas if you relate to people, there's usually a mutuality, there's an emotional connection. It means something. It's more than just a connection. So, how do we relate better to other people, to the planet, to past, present, and future? Because we need to not just have good relationships with other people, but also with the planet and all the life that's on it. And then there's the past. We have some deep roots that we share. There are also some really deep roots that we don't share, but they're all part of our meaning making and what makes us human. And then there's a present that we need to relate to together, and there's a future that we need to relate to together. So that is the idea for this. And then we gave each of the 8 sessions a theme, and this one has L for life experience. And we're trying to figure out who could speak about that. And then Eliane and I have figured out it might actually be more interesting to hear what kind of life experience people have had that they would like to share. And we're not going to do a lot of a long session on this, but we would like you to think about a mistake that you make, because we don't value mistakes enough. We always talk about goals and we talk about successes and about getting things right, but where we really tend to learn and do things better next time is when we make mistakes and learn from them. And I will go first and share a mistake that I made that taught me a lot. And then I'm going to give you another 2 minutes to think about a mistake that you learned something from. And then we're going to see who would like to share the wisdom that came out of that. And my own mistake was when I was around 13 years of age. I was a Girl Scout. I grew up, I mean, I'm Danish. I grew up in Denmark. It's a very privileged society. I grew up in the middle of the Danish middle class, which is a very privileged life. But I was a Girl Scout leader for some girls from a less privileged part of the town that I grew up in. And when we were going to do a Christmas play, uh, we all the little girls had to dress up as Santa's little elves, and one of them didn't have red stockings. And I said, "But can't you just buy some?" Because that's what we did where I came from. If there was something we didn't have, we just bought it. And apparently, this was a girl growing up with a single mom and a sister and not very much money. And my scout leader figured out that I had somehow given this girl the impression that she couldn't be one of Santa's little elves if she didn't have red stockings. So I got scolded for just assuming that they could buy that. And that made me realize two things. And I learned from that mistake. And the first thing I learned was that not everybody has the same kind of money that you have. Second, my parents have actually deprived me of part of my own society by sending me to a private school. There is something here that I have not seen that is right around the corner. And I learned that because I volunteered as a scout leader for 5 years, from I was 12 to I was 17, and because I made a mistake and treated a very uncomfortable situation for a little girl who was maybe, I don't know, 8, 9 years old. So that was one of the mistakes that I made and that I learned from. And now I would like you to think about a mistake that you made, preferably one that you would like to share, and something that you learned from. I'll just give you 2 minutes. Let's see what comes up. Let's see if anybody has some life experience that is worth sharing. We got some brave people. There's somebody made a mistake 5 minutes ago, increasing the tone of my voice to my daughter. Yep. Ooh, that's a good one. She asked, "Are you the same person that conducts training on communication skills, and are you ashamed?" That's a learning experience. Thank you for sharing. Christopher.
Okay, thank you. So I what came up for me was something that's I'm actually learning about right now, and it's the not listening to what others say about themselves, but more to sort of go on with my own thing. And the result of that is that contact becomes difficult or even impossible. And so what I'm learning is that it's better to give people space to show and present themselves as they want to, and then meet them where they are.
Sure. Thank you. Anybody else? We got some really good comments here. August writes, "My biggest mistake was judging people. It's a mistake because when we judge, we game them. And yeah, we may prevent them from correcting the judgments here." Yes, Nargis, please.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, my life is full of mistakes and all through phases of my life, but my recent experience has been making the mistake of, being financial savvy to, confusing the difference between that and the sense of scarcity. So when we came from Afghanistan, of course, we had lost everything. And so I think somehow I got into that sense of scarcity that I thought was I'm trying to be financially savvy or smart here in US. And what I saw over time the last 3 years, that it kind of had an impact on my children as well, where it not only, from the financial area, but it impacted our other areas of life as well. So where we thought, we don't have enough time. I cannot do it. There isn't enough time. I'm not doing my best. So I saw that my son struggling with that firsthand, of how I put pressure on myself to do the best. I saw that also showing up in my son's struggles to do best in school, to be savvy with the finances, to the point where I know how teenagers are. Like, I would take him out for shopping, or and then he would be, no, I don't need clothes, I don't need this or that. But then I don't know, somehow one day I had this realization, and now we are working on it. And we, in my religion, in Islam, and so I was reminded of that. I was reading somewhere that there are 3 things that you shouldn't strive too much for, because one is wealth, because it's Allah that gives it to you. Your food, your sustenance, it is in the hands of Allah. Another is your honor is in the hands of Allah. And of course, the dishonor is also in his hands. So don't worry for those, but go for some meaningful things in lives. And so I was reminded of that, and we are practicing that every day, and we're enjoying life. We're making every day special for ourselves, not thinking about future, not worrying, and being kind to ourselves, not putting too much expectations and too much of difficult goals for ourselves. Yeah.
Thank you. Woo. We all make them mistakes. And I think, your circumstances have been very serious, and we're going to hear about that. So let's move on to the 2 presentations. Thank you.
Yes, let's do that. And thank you. And I think we all have mistakes that we could share, but we can also, and I'm thinking about several of my own right now, that by hearing yours make me reflect on them in a whole another way. And connecting back to the previous session with Barun Mitra, basically doing things, learning is making mistakes. It's basically inherent. So mistakes are, and I have maybe the same ambivalent attitude to that as most people, that we don't like them, but we need to work on that, or I do. Now it's over to our first speaker, and it's Hela Nafti from Tunisia. She's an education consultant with, so much expertise in teaching, curriculum development, and intercultural education. I don't know where to start, so I will have to hand it over to you. But you are heavily engaged in civil society through such organizations as TURN, Global Partnership for Education, and Bridge 47, and currently working on something very interesting, which is creating and developing a think tank in both Tunisia and France to help ensure a sustainable future where human rights values, respect, and exchange between cultures would be main objectives. Also, then instantiating a phenomenon of global education, an institution or a tool for that. This is going to be very interesting. The floor is yours, Hela.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really honored to share with you some ideas about the experience somehow in education I have. Well, first of all, I'd like to start by introducing my country that not everybody knows, because Tunisia is a tiny country in the top north of Africa, but rich in terms of history and culture. And is at the crossroads of East and West. In this part of the world, the future is being built now because events are changing fast. Well, of course, they are changing fast everywhere, and we've been talking about that. But back in 2011, a revolution known as the Arab Spring put an end to long years of dictatorship. And youth, who represent the majority of the population, at that time claimed dignity, a decent life, and jobs. In terms of education, there was an enormous crisis, not only in terms of effective learning, but mainly in terms of infrastructure, pedagogy, and teacher training. An alarming rate was the number of school children who were almost illiterate. The figure is really alarming, 83%, and the obvious result was the number of school dropouts that is now still on the rise, with 100,000 of our 2 million students leaving schools, and mostly boys, not girls, to find jobs, mainly. To answer this critical situation and try to find solutions, a number of NGOs came together to reflect on a new vision of education, a vision that would be transformative, coming from mere knowledge transfer to meaningful citizenship education that eventually would lead to global connectedness. And because I believe that education is a public good, and because I am an active citizen, an activist, I believe that I had to play a role, and I engaged in civil society. At the international level, with I-EARN, International Education and Resource Network, a global network in education, and Stevens Initiative, one of our flagship programs is now currently Storytelling for Change, where students from Tunisia, Algeria, and the US come together to discuss how, through one of the Sustainable Development Goals, they can develop a video that gives a solution to one of the issues that are central in their communities. Discussing, of course, climate change, girls' empowerment, clean water and sanitation, equity, quality education are some of the themes addressed in a way that raises awareness about intercultural dialogue, involves critical thinking, and strengthens agency. This online program is opening intercultural exchange, reducing stereotypes, and building new ties away from biased official speeches. It is learning with the world, not just about it, which is our motto in I-EARN, to reach social responsibility. And then my action widened when I became a member and vice president of a larger network, Solidarité Laïque, which develops projects on both sides of the Mediterranean, in Tunisia and France. Associations that feel the need for change develop in all parts of the country, reaching out to underserved rural areas to work together on education for the common good. Our main objective is to work on universal human rights, on children's rights, on girls' empowerment, on inclusion, but also on the green economy and on climate change, among others. What is important in this program is that we are sharing our expertise. It is not the North versus the South. It is not the North that has gained all the expertise. There is also expertise in the South, and it has to be shared. So we are trying to bring the changes needed amongst youth in our countries. Voice is given to the youth to express their desire of a better education and a better living. Working on the ground with all these associations in all parts of the country, reaching out to people in remote areas to listen to all education stakeholders, to their concerns, gave us a great sense of the needs in education. And so we thought that we had to move forward and add research to action. Both are strongly linked And now the idea of the think tank is enlarging our horizons. We are working with all stakeholders who share our vision of quality education, strongly tied to human values. They bring their expertise so that together we are able to change the vision of education and thus help young people become real actors of their lives. We are all interconnected. In this case of a think tank, we are addressing sustainability because we have built together lots of new ideas in terms of youth empowerment, in terms of teacher training. Everything on this side is now taking shape. We found out through our projects how much our goals are common. We come from different countries, and yet we Tunisians and French have so much in common because we are humans. It is important to cross the barriers, to show how much we share and have the same concerns, the same approaches. It is important to lift from the bottom, to distribute education equally, and to think of a sustainable future. Answering the question about what it means to be human is central if we really if you really want to bring more social justice, if we want to put into practice human values, if we want our people to accept each other. And I don't use the word tolerant, which I don't like, because we don't have to be tolerant to each other, but we have to accept each other's differences and feel and share the same social responsibilities. This seems to be a huge project, and it is indeed. It is time consuming, but there are so many people on our side and many people on board of this think tank. Because now, more than ever, with all the surrounding wars, with frontiers being closed, with the rejection of differences, with the growing racism, with no communication despite all the high-tech devices, with an exaggerated economic inequality between countries and inside countries. No, now more than ever, we need to stand up and cooperate to try to build a sustainable future for global cross-cultural citizens, because we believe in a universal bond that connects all humanity. I am, because we are, this Ubuntu vision has become a reality for us. Thank you for listening.
Wow, thank you so much. There is this brings, at least to me personally, a lot of hope. This constructive approach of me having us meet and doing it so concretely. Yeah, thank you. We are moving over to Nargis Zadran also, going straight ahead to listen to you as well. And then after that, we will have breakout sessions. We'll get back to that. So let's keep the steam up. Nargis Zadran is an experienced education practitioner, has advocated for marginalized communities in Afghanistan for 15 years, and also being part of shaping Afghanistan's national curriculum. After evacuating or leaving Afghanistan with a Taliban takeover in 2021, she has supported Afghan refugees outside of Afghanistan, and now serves as an education director for Educate Girls Now. I think I interpret correctly that you will highlight the fact that if you advocate for women's rights in general and Afghani girls in particular, you are in fact empowering girls in all over the planet. It has global ripple effects. What happens there happens everywhere. I hope that framed a little bit what you're going to talk about. So let me just stop guessing what you will say and hand over to you. We're really looking forward to it, Nargis. The floor is yours.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for creating this space, and I'm truly honored to be part of this wonderful discussion, and it truly is an honor for me today to talk about something that's very close to my heart, which is the interconnection of women. How we as women complement and uplift each other, regardless of whether we come from the East or from the West. And I'm speaking this on behalf of like my life experience of how my work has been shaped, both in East and now in the West. So we may speak different languages and we may dress in different ways and grow up with different traditions, but at our core, we share so much more than what separates us. We are bound by universal experiences, by our struggles, our strengths, and our hopes for a better future for ourselves, for our families, and the generations to come. I come from Afghanistan. It's a country that's rich in culture, history, resilience, but also a place where women have long had to fight for their basic rights. And today, being here and as an Afghan woman, I'm not just speaking about my journey, about the journeys of millions of women, those who have faced barriers, yet, they refuse to be silenced, and those who have struggled and yet continue to struggle, but they continue to rise as well. Whether in the East or the West, we are part of the same story. We are connected, we complete each other, and today, I want to share with you how this sisterhood is not just an idea, it's a powerful force that shapes our world. No matter where a woman is born, she still encounters challenges simply because she's a woman. These struggles may look different on the surface, but they stem from the same root, which is inequality. In Afghanistan, the struggle for education is a life or death matter. Unfortunately, girls risk their safety just to sit in a classroom. And I have worked with young Afghan girls who have had to disguise themselves just to learn. When the Taliban banned girls from going to school, some continued their education in underground classrooms, like they're doing with us right now. And I have seen mothers who have never had the chance to learn themselves risk everything so that their daughters could have a different future. And yet, even here in the West, where education is given, women still face barriers. We have gender pay gaps, glass ceilings, and societal expectations. Being here in US, working with American women and speaking to women in America who, despite having access to opportunities, feel immense pressure to do it all, to be successful in their careers, while also meeting unrealistic expectations of motherhood, beauty, and perfection. The struggle may take different shapes, but at its core, it is the same. And that's why we must recognize our common ground. It's not about whose struggle is greater, it's about standing together so that no woman has to fight alone. At first glance, women from different culture may seem worlds apart. I grew up in Afghanistan where family and community are at the heart of everything. Our tradition emphasizes hospitality, loyalty, and perseverance. Many women in my culture find their strength in these close-knit relationships, in deep connections they have with their families and communities. While in the West, I've seen a strong emphasis on independence and self-expression. Women here are encouraged to find their own path, pursue their ambitions, and find success on their own terms. This too is a beautiful and powerful approach. But when we look deeper, we see that these values are not in opposition to each other, but they complement one another. A woman from the East brings the wisdom of generations that value collective well-being, teaching us the power of community. A woman from the West brings the boldness to challenge societal norms, inspiring us to break barriers. Together, we learn from one another. We create a balance, a world where women can be both independent and deeply connected, where we can uplift ourselves while uplifting those around us. Throughout my work, whether in education, refugee advocacy, or peace building, I've witnessed how women from different backgrounds enrich one another's lives. Through Educate Girls Now, I have been working to ensure that 150 Afghan girls continue their education despite the ban by the current government there. This work has only been possible because of women from around the world, women in the US, two wonderful women, and especially the founder of the organization that I work with, and women in Europe and other parts of Asia who have come together to support a cause that at first glance seems distant from our own lives, but it's not distant. It's our shared fight, our shared responsibility. In my also current job, where I serve as a specialist to support schools in the Stafford County, I work with Afghan refugee children, helping them navigate an entirely new world while holding onto their identity. Many of these children, especially the girls, arrive in the US feeling lost. Their mothers feel isolated, but the moment a local woman steps in, a teacher, a mentor, or even a neighbor to offer guidance, everything changes. These acts of kindness, of connection, show how much we need each other. When women from different backgrounds come together, we don't just support one another, we learn from one another. We see different ways of leading, different ways of solving problems, and together we create something stronger than what either of us could have built alone. Women have always found ways to support one another, whether through formal movements or simple everyday acts of kindness. When Afghan girls see movements like Me Too, they're inspired to raise their own voices. When women in the West see stories of Afghan girls fighting for their rights to education, they're reminded of the privileges they must never take for granted. And it's just not about global movements, it's about personal connections. I've had the honor of meeting women who have mentored me, supported me, and lifted me up. And in turn, I strive to do the same for the next generations of young women, whether in Afghanistan or even here in the USA. Each time a woman reaches out to help another, she's strengthening this invisible but unbreakable thread that binds us all together. So, what does this mean for us today? It means that no matter where we are, no matter where we come from, we have a responsibility to each other. As Laine also said, that we share this planet together. We live in this planet and we impact each other. Our presence impact each other, whether the positive way or the negative way. We have shared past, but we also have a shared present and also shared future for coming generations. It means that when one woman rises, she must lift others with her as well. It means that we must challenge the mindset that says, her struggle is not my struggle, because it is. So I ask you, how can we use our unique strengths to support one another? How can we create spaces where women from different backgrounds feel valued and heard? And how can we ensure that our daughters inherit a world where their opportunities are not limited by where they were born? And because when women come together, when we listen, support, and uplift one another, we create a world that is not divided by geography, but united by purpose. And that's the world worth fighting for. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And this is highly inspiring, how we make each other stronger together. Lene, it is time for breakout rooms.
Most certainly is, and I'm just making sure that there's a really, really nice breakout room for everybody. I can say this much: there's only nice people present, so it is going to be nice breakout rooms because you're there. And I think the question that Nargis just shared with us is really great. How can we help each other? But we also do have three questions for you that we would like you to discuss. Actually, we would like you to just quickly introduce yourselves to the people in the breakout room, where your name and where you are, perhaps. What did we just hear? What did we learn? And what would we like to ask the speakers? And I will kindly ask all the participants to join our room, and then the two speakers to stay here with us in the main room, because otherwise the speakers will just keep speaking, and you won't get a chance to talk because that's the way speakers are, and I know them. So have fun out in the breakout rooms, and then when you come back, I'll give you 15 minutes, and when you come back, we will have questions for the speakers. And enjoy. Thank you for the presentations. Yeah, Nargis. We lost your image, but the sound went through clearly, so we heard every word, and it was very good. Thank you. So the Arab Spring, that was actually, well, that was when was the riots in Iran? That was also 2011, wasn't it?
Which
Well,
ones?
there were some. But I think what Hela's talking about is when the person, it was a guy that lit himself on fire, right? Wasn't that what started the all of the commotion and everything? He was
Yeah.
dealing with a woman police person, and he was, yeah.
No, it was a seller who was selling vegetables and who was arrested by a woman police, and so he set fire to himself. But it was because he was unemployed, and he had a university degree, and yet he was unemployed, and that was the case of so many people in his case, so many young people in his case, and that started everything. Yes, and I think the Arab Spring began here in Tunisia because it was a non-violent uprise or revolution, or what the history will tell us what it was exactly. But it was for us a revolution, and I think it started a new page in our history, and well, with ups and downs.
The Tunisia has a, compared to the rest of the Middle East, rather high. I mean, the other, let me put it differently. The average age is very low in the other Middle Eastern countries. I think you have how to say it, less youth, more adults in Tunisia. I mean, that was one of the reasons why it unfolded differently.
No, we have more youth than old people. And that's why, well, a great number anyway of our population is constituted by people aged less than 25. And but what happens in Tunisia is that, when we got our independence back in 1956, we fought for women equality, women rights, and women have great rights, not everything, of course, but for an Arab Muslim country, we can say that. Yes, and even after the revolution, when Islamists wanted to take us back to old ages, we fought and demonstrated on the streets to keep our rights and to move forward with our rights. Because in Tunisia, girls and boys are treated equally at school, and they have their own civil rights, and we are really citizens of this country, and we don't want to go back to old ages, and it's why we are. If we look at the situation today, mostly women are fighting everywhere in civil society, in everywhere where we can fight, where we can make our voices heard. But I think also, that there were lots of mistakes that were made after the revolution, especially for us women. There was a clear rejection of people who were not on our side, what we call the democratic side. But I think we were wrong, and this is what I wanted to talk about earlier when we talked about mistakes. It was very hard for us to accept others who were not on our side and who had different beliefs, who had different religious beliefs and political beliefs. And I think this has strengthened us, but still we need to work on this now to achieve a real democracy.
What is the education system like in Tunisia? I mean, it's public schools. How many years of mandatory
Yes.
school? I mean, high
The
schools, is everything
majority,
accessible to everybody?
yes, the majority are public schools because this is also what was a reality after the independence, and all children aged 5 to 16 have to go to school, and their parents may be also punished if because school is really compulsory and free. But now there is a rise of private schools as everywhere in the world, and I am also fighting against private tutoring, and because we really have very good schools and very good teachers who are trained. Of course, not the way we would like them to be trained, and we are working on that as well. But yes, we do have compulsory schooling for all children. And the problem now is the school dropout rate. This is also a very big issue that concerns lots of people, and it is hard not to stay on the safe side and try to continue to have a better education for everybody. But we do have schools all over the country, and that was a political decision that was made back in 1956 to have everybody. That was the challenge. The challenge was to have women educated and schooling for everybody. That was a very big challenge, and that's why we are now really tied to those principles.
Nargis?
Yes, I had a question for Miss Hela. What do you think is the reason for the dropouts of the youth from the school? What is there any research or anything that shows or tells what is the reason behind it?
Exactly. Well, the first reason might be social, for children coming from underserved areas, from underserved regions in the country is one. The second one is the pedagogy that is adopted in our schools, where it is really top-down pedagogy, where children are fed up with these classes and with this education. And I told you earlier the number of children who leave school after 9 years of education being illiterate. So many children think that they are losing their time, and also because schooling does not lead to employment, and that's a very big issue. Employment is a very big issue, and you get a degree, and for many years you are unemployed. So many children prefer leaving schools. But at this time, we have new programs in civil society as well as in the ministry, where we want to not get them back to school, but find ways for them to be trained, to be taken, into a system where they can also find a way to be employed. Someone is saying that early marriage, but early marriage in Tunisia is not under 17. So girls don't get married if they are not 17. But yes, this is only another reason, but it is not a real reason for school dropout.
Yeah, that is so much, I can relate to it because that's exactly what we experienced in Afghanistan. First of all, there was a bigger class, gap between children coming from better families, having better access to education, to technology, educational resources, and then kids coming from families where, poor families, parents never went to school, and, it made it so much difficult in terms of the student, and then also the pedagogy and the curriculum that was being served. It didn't serve the purpose. I know that one research was done by an Australian company, research company, that showed that kids who study 7th and 8th graders, middle schoolers, if they study like 2 or 3 pages of whatever content that you give them, they can only retain 4 or 5 sentences of that in terms of and and employment is another also, of course, no jobs. Like whatever they studied, there were no jobs for them. We currently, because we continue to face such problems on the top of like the ban on the girls' education, we did a pilot project where we did transversal skills, very much a European concept, more like Scandinavian countries concept, because we were so privileged to work with a Finnish organization, and that was the first time we did entrepreneurship skills with our students, and that was like with a group of our girls, and that was like really an eye-opening and something that was very much appreciated and liked by our students. So I believe, just preparing these kids not only for schools, but giving them skills that they can employ in everyday life is just so important, especially working skills, vocational training, literacy, financial literacy, and these are all important things. Unfortunately, there's like the stride is harder for some countries, unfortunately.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And this is what we are doing in the training schools, where students are getting entrepreneurship skills, life skills, and where they are directed, towards what they want to do, to a life project. And this is very important. I'm working with these schools at the moment, and I feel how much they need to be listened to, how much they need to be involved, and how much they need to acquire those life skills and entrepreneurship skills to get into society and get a job. And this is what they are looking for. And I think these schools have succeeded with very little. They're doing. They don't have much, but they are doing a lot because of these. And this is what I believe in, people who are engaged, who are dedicated to those children. It is not a matter of delivering a or this this to test situation, which is really taking kids away from what education should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And social emotional learning is another such an important aspect,
Yes.
as like giving these kids the tools to, be emotionally healthy and self-regulate. And our countries are not, unfortunately, kids in our countries have seen all kinds of traumas and multi-layers, like different layers of trauma. And so working through all of these, it's such an incredible work you're doing. That's awesome. And it's very hopeful.
Yeah. I'm always hopeful of a better future, which is not always easy. But yes. When you are doing something, when you are allowing others to work with you, when you learn from others, it is always, something that is rewarding at the end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now we have people coming back from the rooms. I hope you have had fruitful dialogues. I have personally gotten a lot of food for thought and reflection going forward. Remember those questions? They were, what did we just hear? What did we learn? And what should we do that then? More specifically in terms of should we maybe ask our speakers something? And so the floor is actually open for, oh yeah, Robert just posted in the chat, if we have any newcomers, please click the link in the chat and add yourself to the world map where we show the blatant fact that this is a truly global meeting, one of not so many. So yeah, I'm yeah. Someone said awe before, and I am in awe that we can have this truly globe encompassing dialogue, and I feel very privileged myself to be part of it. The floor is open for those of you that want to share your reflections and follow-up questions and start up the dialogue. We will do this for maybe 20 minutes, what do you think, Lena? Or a little bit more?
Yeah, well, we have a little half hour, and then we'll wrap up, and then we actually have a little bit longer session to also wrap up what we did in the previous sessions.
There we go.
So let's
But
hear how the dialogue and the conversation unfolds.
start your engines, people. It's you can either raise your hand and speak, or you can write questions in the chat as well if you're more comfortable with that. Maybe I can start off. I have a question because you talked about the school dropout rates being alarming in Tunisia, Hela. I'm thinking about, so basically these students that drop out, they feel that school is not relevant for them to become, let's say, successful later in life. So either they're wrong or the school is wrong, right? What's the deal? Sorry, the school is wrong. Okay. Yeah.
The school is wrong, absolutely.
And what are you
Yes.
doing about it then?
Yeah, what we are doing, there are programs that help these children find solutions. The first one is to take them back to school. But no, they don't like school. Why should they go back to school? They will do the same thing. Nothing has changed meanwhile. So no. The second program, and this is more interesting, is that there are centers or schools or associations that are open for these children to come and develop their own skills, because we all believe that they're all intelligent. They all can do things, but they need some life skills. And we are there to help them develop their own skills, life skills, but also skills that would help them in their work, skills that can help them integrate. Because if they are now school dropout, they are out of school and they're out of society in a way. Society rejects them. So how can they be accepted again if they don't get the necessary skills? And so it is very important to have people who would listen to them and who would guide them find their own paths in life through lots of workshops, very different workshops, because it all depends on what they like, what they want to learn, where they want to go. And I have many successful examples of students who did not want to go back to school and came to these centers or training schools where they learned what they wanted to do, because they were accepted as they were with all their difficulties, and now are working successfully in areas they were wanted to reach. And if they had stayed in their own schools, they would have never, ever reached their goals. And this is why, yes, we want to change schools. We want to change pedagogy, but it takes years. and at the same time, these students are growing and they need immediate solutions to their problems. They cannot wait. Their life cannot wait.
This sense of urgency in you doing something is very inspiring. And we spoke about hope before. I think hope, this gives us hope that, true progress is possible. But also, I think that's a key ingredient you give these kids is hope, or a faith in there's a better world waiting for me if I put my part in it. Yeah, wonderful. Lena, I think you were the first to raise a hand. We also have, maybe we should do one verbal and then one in the chat and go for it.
I think we should do the chat first because
Okay.
those are some really good questions.
Yeah. So the first one coming there is from Mark Vincent and team, or that breakout room, to ask Nargis about how she develops and maintains courage for our ongoing work. How do you do that? And see if Nargis, if you're...
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I have some problem with my camera. It keeps on, it turns off on its own. But yeah, well, how do I maintain my courage for ongoing work? First of all, I should say that I have a very strong faith, and that's like my first place where I draw all my courage from. My faith helps me. There's a concept, I think, and it's true and it's universal, that we all believe in karma. So doing good reaps good. And, it's like a ripple effect. It affects others and it comes back to you as well. And also the fact that, in my journey of the work that I do, or even, just coming here to US, living a life of an immigrant all over again, I think I'm not alone. I have a support system, which is incredible. When I first came to US, I had this amazing support by the individuals, by the community here. And even in my work, I'm not the one who's doing all the work, but I have incredible people who are supporting me. I have teachers on the ground who are, risking their life every day, and yet they show up for the students, they teach. They are my support. The people over here who believe in the cause of the education of girls in Afghanistan, and they are supporting and they're donating. That's what keeps my hope, alive, and it gives me courage. And also, just seeing the impact of it, just celebrating small wins. I mean, we have a small group of girls that we are educating, but we are seeing tremendous results with that, and that keeps me, hopeful for future. We just had 2 of our girls who came to USA. They were 9th graders. They were studying with us in Kabul through online classes. They applied for scholarships. They were able to compete with international students and secure those scholarships. These are like all amazing wins. And I do not believe in, I, in my personal capacity, may not be able to be impactful for thousands of girls, but I take so much joy and so much pride and so much in just helping one girl at a time. And so that's what also gives me courage. And, I'm one person. I know that the situation in my country is not hopeful. It's not beautiful. I don't have control over that, but I know that I have control over what I can do, what my contributions can be. And so that is also like very motivating for me. Also, as we were discussing, we are all learning from our mistakes. We are learning from our mistakes, and it helps me do better every day by just being reflective, by just looking back and seeing what is it that I can improve, and what is the way forward. And people like you inspire me. People like Hela Nafti inspires me, and there are like countless people, and those girls, especially in Afghanistan. I mean, I'm here safe and sound working, but just the courage of the teachers, the courage of the girls, that inspires me every day. And also just seeing the impact of the work that we are doing, that is incredible. And the fact to know that I'm enough, I think that's also, I mean, one person at a time. If not too many people with me, just me, myself is also enough. Even if I'm impactful for a group of girls, I can, then those girls can go and be impactful for other people. So these are all hopeful things. And I know that there's another question as well, like what are your sources for hopes for future? These are all sources of hopes for me for future. People like you, people like my students, my teachers on the ground, and also the shared fact that we are all related as with a kinship of humanity, and we care for each other. We have this sense of care and responsibility for each other. All of this gives me hope. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope, Mikhail, that you got some answers to that. I don't know if you want to elaborate or leave the word to Lena. Is there something you would like to add? And it's also welcome from Ukraine. Welcome back, Mikhail. Slava Ukraini.
First of all, thank you very much, Nargis, for all what you are doing, for your story. And we are deeply appreciating the situation you are. And you almost answered my question, except maybe for a small point. We are in, like I told in our group, in almost the same situation, equally awful, but very different, because we have a hope we are working with. So our hope is mainly the result of our efforts. And you are living in a situation where your life is harmed and heavily impacted by others, not by you. And we have a hope. And my question was not about the courage, but about the sources of your hope, so evident for us right now.
Yeah, thank you. So, as I said earlier, that, well, I mean, I'm not a politician, and the situation in my country is as such that we have no power over to change things. But my hope for future is, the youth and the future generations of Afghanistan. And being an educationist, I truly believe that, these education can play such a vital role, and that we can raise future generations of Afghanistans as such who will be in a better position to make better decisions. It's an investment. It's something that we will see results over a long time, not short time, unfortunately, but it's an investment worth investing in. So, yeah, the future generations, these are our hope. The women, the strong women, the strong girls, the strong boys with better education, with better decision making, and better knowledge and awareness, who are raised with love and compassion, and the right understanding of what is right and what's wrong, and how we are connected, and faith. These are all things that give us hope. And I'm sorry about also what's happening in your country, in Ukraine, but I think the people of Ukraine are a hope for us as well, in terms of not giving up. So the fact that we are not giving up, that's hope. That's hope that gives us hope as well. So we are not giving up in our struggles as well. Our struggles look different. Their results are not going to be short term. We will see them in long term, but that's hope for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mikhail.
Take care.
Lena, do you have a question of your own?
Yeah. I mean, first I have a comment of a realization that listening to Nargis and Hela, which is, I mean, yes, it's always the girls and the women, and it's the oppression, it's the lack of resources, lack of education, but it's also, it's really deeper. It's what I'm realizing from listening to Hela is we really don't value humans. I mean, there's in every child and every person, there's something unique. There's something that could become a talent. There's something to be, unfolded, and that needs to come out into this world and be visible and be shared and be that is must be allowed to contribute to society and to everybody's well-being. And then and what we ought to do with education is to open that up and allow people to unfold what it is that they have inside of themselves. Instead, we tend to look at education as something that there's some people who know what everybody needs to know, and now we're going to pour it into their heads instead of saying, how do we open up their minds so that they can appreciate new knowledge? And of course, everybody does need to know how to learn to read and write, and everybody does need to learn basic math, and there's other stuff that we do need to know, like being safe in traffic. I mean, it's not like everything has to just be what you want to learn, but it's so crucial that the foundation is provided so that students can be curious about the world and actually explore it and unfold what they have inside of themselves, and that can be nurtured and developed and be allowed to unfold and see the light. And so this leads me to a question which is probably more to Hela, because it's very much about the structures and resources in formal education system, but Nargis may also know about it. But according to the United Nations, by 2030, the world is going to be 44 million school teachers short. And some of the, I mean, poorest countries are also the youngest countries. And it's not like we're not having babies anymore. We're actually, there are more babies being born in the poorest parts of the world. And that's where we, I assume, have the fewest teachers. So what are your, um, what kind of education do you have available for teachers, and what are the teachers saying? Um, and I assume in Afghanistan that is more or less a dead profession. I mean, what is what's the situation regarding training enough or teaching enough teachers, and how do you what do the teachers say about this?
Yes. Yes. Shall I answer this question? Is it to me?
You
Yes.
first.
So yes, okay, first. The idea now about unfolding those ideas and bringing more people is what we are working on in this project I was talking about this think tank. What we have done is looking at school being like a prison, right? At the moment, where children just come to learn and they don't want to come to learn, and just to learn for the test and nothing else. So nothing would be there after they have completed their test. So we thought that school should be a place where they develop their skills and should be open onto the community, and that's why we have trained teachers to think in terms of how we should do to have these activities inside schools, clubs, where students would come to talk together, to share to share their ideas. But first of all, teachers need to be trained. Teachers don't know how to do, because all our kids now are so well equipped with digital learning that they're not waiting for a teacher to come and show them what to do with computers. So what is it that makes a school a place where we learn about skills, not only knowledge, about skills and about life? What is it that makes a good education? So, bringing people from outside, from the community, experts in education, experts in other areas would come and try to find solutions. With the clubs we have developed, we saw how much creative kids are. They are talking about culture. They are, have their own projects about the cinema, about plays, having plays in their own schools. And it is, I think, it is ownership. of education. And ownership of education can only come when students are given a voice and when they are able to speak on behalf of themselves, to speak for themselves and for what they want to do. This can only happen where everybody is involved. Parents should be involved. Parents come to talk about what happens in terms of content. No, this is not their role. Their role is to come and help schools in the community to help see what their kids are doing. It's not private tutoring. It is what the school, what the children can do. And I have always believed that teacher training is key because teachers are educators. They are not only teaching subjects. And this takes time to become something tangible and realistic in our classes. But I think with projects like ours, where we traveled to the south of France and saw how a school in one of the poorest areas of France had this, these people from various backgrounds, from various cultures, from various beliefs and religions, but who were living together to help develop education in the schools, to help give their children the possibility of becoming real citizens, acting as all citizens in the country. That is something that needs teacher training, that needs advocacy, and that needs people who are dedicated to education, but to a citizenship education. I don't know if I have answered your question.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Wow, I see now. We welcome Eliane Metni, who was supposed to be
Oh,
with us a bit
great.
earlier. You're very, very welcome. We're happy you're safe, and we
Thank
understood
you.
you had to evacuate where you were
Yes,
in South Lebanon. Wow. So
yes.
happy to see
I'm
you.
sorry. Thank
No,
you.
no,
Thank you.
we're just
Thank
happy you're here.
thank you.
I see a question for Nargis now. I don't know if you've been able to follow any, Elian, but we've had this most amazing session with Hela Nafti talking about how they are transforming or Tunisian/French education to become truly connected, and Nargis talking about her work and empowering girls in Afghanistan, both in and outside of Afghanistan, because every girl you help helps the whole world. Nargis, I saw you raise your hand. You also have a question. Did you see it?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to welcome Ilian. We're so happy that you made it safely here, and truly an honor that, to meet you, and I'm glad that you're here. So I would like to answer the same question about teacher training and what can be done, and the importance of teacher training. And I mean, in my work in Afghanistan and learning, I had the, privilege to work with one of the world's very good curriculum. And as a mother, I also, and as a teacher, realized that so much was missing from our curriculum when, I was going through that education and I was learning. What I see as at the heart of the failure of education and kids losing their interest is that so much of our education system is focused through extrinsic gains and extrinsic motivation. And, as a kid, when I was growing up, I know I was always encouraged that you have to be a doctor. If not, the second choice is to be an engineer. If not, the third is law. And if not, this is how the list is. And I think pretty much this is, we choose careers based on how much each career makes money. And so in the process of, just for that extrinsic motivation of it, the medals, the recognition, the status, we pursue that, and we think education, should get us to that point. But as a matter of fact, if we want kids to be lifelong learners, or if we want them to be impactful, if we want them to be able to see the whole picture, where they see education as just a tool to help them fulfill their potential for who they are, I think we need to focus more on intrinsic motivation. Help these kids see their gifts, see who they are, what their inclinations are, be able to see their gifts, and curriculums should be designed in a way where it nurtures a whole child, rather than putting those medals, those scholarships in front of them as achievements. And so teacher training is important, and that was the focus of our work. And so what we still have teacher training, because we always have shortage of teachers, and our teacher training program specifically is designed to learn the concept of motivation. How do you develop that within the students? And then also, it's so very much important that it was a concept that was so very much new in our country, which was the learning styles. You have kids in a class, and what happens in public schools is that you have a teacher and you have 30 students sitting behind the desks, and one teacher teaching in one style and hoping that all students will learn through the same style that she thinks is better, that she decides for some reason, and then expecting all kids to learn at the same pace. That's another mistake, because every child is unique. If we see every child as unique, and if we see every child having different interests, one child may be interested more in nature, another may be more interested in science, another may be more artistic. And so, finding those learning styles of students, and then, making, the content that these kids have to learn so much relatable to their interests is something that makes that content very much interesting for the students. And so we trained our teachers in different styles of learning, and how to create activities that caters to the individual needs of a child, and how to go with the individual pace of a child. We cannot expect all children to learn at the same pace. Some children need more time. And also realizing the assessment. I think what is also lacking in countries like Afghanistan or third world countries is the teachers are not trained enough to do the real assessment of the students. A test, an exam, a paper is not helpful in evaluating the student's ability, skills development. And so that's another important aspect of the teacher training that we focus on, is to make sure that teachers do not rely on tests. Teachers do not rely on those standard tests that are given. Maybe that child is not happy that day and they show up. And just to give them 5 out of 10, it's just so disheartening for that child, and that child loses interest. And so I'm a big promoter of, just getting rid of exams and tests, and, not as a standard way to test a child's abilities and develop skills. And so teacher training is important. It must go hand in hand, and teachers can play a very important role. And then coming to next question, which is in the chat, that says, what do you see necessary missing in your work with the girls? What need do you see that could have a powerful impact for them? Currently, there are so many needs. First of all, the fact that we are offering this education solution to the children, but it's not sustainable, because the state, first of all, the country does not recognize all these educations. It's happening underground, it's happening in secretly. And for our students to have credits for the education that they're doing, we have to have partnership with schools here in US who would evaluate the work of students, and then they get credits, and which helps them transfer those credits to get online, either enrollment in universities and their online programs, or if they want to come here to US. But what is the solution for girls in Afghanistan? There is no solution for their education, everything that they're getting. And plus, they don't know the language. English language. Only a small number of students know English language for them to be able to study a US curriculum, but the rest of them have to study in their native language. So that's a big need. English language skills for them to be connected to the world. Second, for all the education that they're doing and all these organizations that are not only me, but all these other groups and individuals who are doing education projects and programs on the ground, their work needs to be recognized by another body, such as, international education bodies, the UN, maybe UNESCO, UNICEF, regional education bodies. There has to be, the world needs to step up and they need to take responsibility and find sustainable ways where all these forms of educations are recognized and the students get credits for it, which are then transferable to other universities, colleges, and schools. Another is mental and emotional support. I think the girls in our country and the situation in our country, I mean, it's traumatizing. The girls are facing social isolation. They are facing displacements. They have faced loss of their family members, and so it's impacting their mental health a lot, and their social sphere has shrunk. And so we need safe places for these girls, and we need more people, more organizations who can offer that psychosocial support to these groups, and avenues and platforms, safer avenues and platforms can be created where the kids and the girls can socialize at least virtually. Again, we need community and family engagement. Poverty is one of the reasons that also is one of the reasons that a lot of girls don't find access even to the online solutions that are available right now, or even the secret schools that are happening. Unfortunately, child marriage is one of the biggest challenges we are facing, and the fact that girls' education is not seen important in my country, unfortunately, in some groups of people, is unfortunate. And so the communities need to step up. The communities need to realize and treat the girls equally and invest in girls' education and do not prioritize boys over girls. So that's another unfortunate reality in our community. And of course, we need global advocacy and visibility. And as I said, the world and the neighboring countries. And one of the things that was part of my speech was that, with whatever is happening in Afghanistan, it's not unfortunate for Afghanistan, but unfortunate for the rest of the world. And the impacts of it, be it the half of the population of the country not contributing financially, or not getting an education, or lagging behind. If it's affecting so many indicators, be it health, be it emotional well-being, be it education, be it the GDP, the revenue that they can bring. And so you see, because of that, I mean, if I can give you one example, is that Afghanistan is one of the 2 countries in the world that still has cases of polio, because not enough knowledge or awareness in the country, because of lack of education, that it's important to immunize your children, or because of the ban, and because some areas are so isolated, and the ban that is happening, we don't have enough health workers to do immunization. So we need global advocacy, global visibility to the situation, member countries, the international communities to stand up and, put some pressure on what's happening in our country, on the current government. And I think, I've covered all of the points. So these are some of the most important things that are missing.
Wow, thank you so much. Eliane, now that you were able to join us, I know this is pretty much your field as well, and I'm eager to hear if you have anything you would like to add to the conversation.
I think this thoughtful conversation. I wish I was here from the beginning. What I'd like to add is we need to trust. We need to really, I mean, in the theme of relation and learning from experience, we need to trust that learning doesn't only take place in the classroom. So that's also something that we usually, as educators, just focus on what happens in the classroom, and connecting the dots between what comes in the classroom and outside is important, and trusting children and their ability to, more than their ability, they have abilities and capacities, but they're just so responsible. And the more we just treat them as, you know, just being seated in your seat, they will remain so. And in order to engage them, we need to trust them. We need to look at them differently. And it's reciprocal. And that we're talking here about relations. And as part of the relation, if we are more participatory in the way we teach, then we also will have more relations with students that are deeper. Part of the research that I've completed recently is about agency, and what it really unfolds is the importance of relatedness and building even stronger ties than we think across the educational system, in the teacher professional development, in the classroom, with policymakers across the educational system. And the last thing I would like to add is, I think that's something we probably have covered, Lean, at the beginning. It's about assessment. I think we're just so focused on assessment that we forget learning. If we were to just focus on the learning, you don't even need to, assessment needs to be as part of the learning, not at the end. It just is ongoing. And so if we try to fit our learning experiences as part of what we do, we'll see that it's you thrive and you become, rather than just you learn. So learning is what Bildung is. It's becoming, your self-accomplishment. And that's why I think those all those points are so important as part of learning. You know, it's a bit condensed,
Yeah,
but
yeah. The continuous becoming. I love that.
is
That is, and it ties very well in with what Varun Mitra said earlier today. You have to watch the movie later
I
on.
will definitely the whole thing. Hela, I
Yeah.
missed you, and Nargis, I missed your presentations, but I definitely will follow it from all of it.
Yeah, and speaking of common, sorry, I missed
Jan, we missed you, and we missed all your ideas, of course.
Thank
That's
you.
why you have to come back September 20 when the next Equinox is and our next meeting. A little ahead of time advertisement. I think, and well, thank you so much, all three of you. I think, Lena, it's time to start wrapping this baby up.
Yep. So on behalf of the team and myself, thank you so much, Nargis and Hela, for joining, and also Ilian for making it safely to finally join us here. And we're gonna do a little wrap up, but if somebody must leave now, at least I know that I have thanked the speakers, and it was really cool to hear your presentations. And we will definitely stay in touch and learn more about what goes on in Afghanistan, and also in I would say all of North Africa and the Middle East with regards to education, because this is really the door to a better future. One thing that I or let's do the sort of ordinary wrap up of this particular session. For those who came in late, there is a Padlet in the chat. We would like you to go there and share where you are. So you click on the link if you haven't done it already, and then you go to a world map, and there you'll see in the bottom right hand corner a pink dot with a plus sign in it, and you click on that and you can enter where you are. And I'm in Copenhagen. I just entered the street name, so apparently it knows everything. At least in this part of the world. You may just be able to enter your town. I don't know. And then we asked a question at the very beginning, which is what would allow us to relate better to each other and or to the planet. And everybody was asked to write 3 things. And here's the word cloud that Robert has miraculously brought forth while we were talking. So understanding, humbleness, curiosity, listening, openness, gratitude. Wonderful. So we will post the word clouds later. It's interesting how these meetings are evolving, and on that note, as Martin said, we're meeting again in September, and I am going to share a link where we're gonna post the. I just shared a link in the chat. That is the September event, and if you click on that link, there's not a lot of content right now, but if you would like to join the organizing team, there's a button, you click it and you can send us an email. If you would like to be one of the speakers, you click the button and you send us an email. Or if you would like to become an ambassador for this, you can just send us an email. We'll figure out what that means, but we need some more people to post these things online and to invite their network and make this global meeting on Equinox grow and become a much bigger event. And then there is also a link to the Zoom event, so you can actually get the Zoom link or be registered right now. I made the date and the time wrong, but I'll fix that. We will host it on September 20th, which is the Saturday closest to Equinox in September. Those were the practicalities, and then I would like to wrap up the whole. I was just about to call it morning. It's probably night and morning again in Australia, where we started 8 hours ago. I can't believe it. Feels like 2 hours or something, but it is 8 hours since we started, and we have had 3 things that kind of appeared as the themes running through it. One was time, how we understand time, how we deal with it, and how our understanding of time shapes how we understand the rest of the world and ourselves in it. And then the the importance of making mistakes actually came up as a topic in 3 of the 4 sessions. And then there was also in 3 of the 4 sessions the relationship between the East and West and how we understand the world differently and how that creates misunderstandings, but also a richer understanding of the world. And regarding time, we started actually with an Australian presentation about children and theater and how schools collaborate with theater. And the next presenter talked about our concept of time, and it turned out to be this wonderful overlap of insights because he was also teaching this to children and had some really interesting projects with where children were exploring time and what their own time sort of pace in life was, and it turned out to match really well with the theater stuff, not least because if you go to the theater, it's like a one-off. Either you're there or you're not there. You have to be there and participate in time. It's not like television or movies where you can join it whenever you want. To get the full experience, you have to be there when it happens. So that was an interesting thing. And then Pinder Wong from Hong Kong in the East Asia session talked about how geography has been defining for how we meet. But there's a completely different conception or frame of mind now that we meet online, because now time decides when we meet. And literally organizing this event with 8 events over the course of 18 hours, traveling around the globe, following the sun, so to speak. It's faster than us. But I have discovered a new phenomenon, which is time zone anxiety, because to get every speaker and every event and every time zone correct in the program, Robert, who has a military background, fact checks all the times that I put into the program, and it's a completely different dimension to plan an event like this. And then Sanchita, who spoke in the Indian Asian session of the program, talked about different kinds of knowledge from indigenous cultures, traditional cultures, modern cultures, and the postmodern culture that deconstructs everything. So that was a different aspect of time, because these concepts of knowledge have evolved and emerged and developed through history. Today they coexist, and they may even coexist within our own lives and within our own minds, and that creates a lot of challenges. But so there's a completely different concept of time. So that was like one main topic, and then there was the mistakes. I think Pindar was the first one to bring it up. And then we had it with regards to also Gandhi's concept of education, and now we shared our personal mistakes as an intro to this session about life experience. So we've actually explored the mistakes, and then there was the East and West, where we had Pindar Wang from Hong Kong and Jiang Cheng from China, and they are very much, of course, have deep knowledge about the Eastern philosophical tradition, and we had a very interesting discussion about how we think in the West and how they think in the East, and how we need to learn from each other's perspectives and those major cultural roots down into the human fabric of meaning making. So and we kind of brought it up in the session from India, and Nargis also brought it up here. So we didn't even put those three in the program. Well, the one about time, but just as one presentation, and it turns out to show up in all those sessions. So it's amazing. I don't know if anybody has a final remark before we take a 2-hour break and go to Africa. August, please.
Yes, I would like to thank
Your
you.
sound is very poor.
Oh, sorry. I would like to thank you for the organization, for all of us to have this chance to share and discuss about ideas and everything, you know. And it was, I think it's a great work, it's a great effort, and please accept my gratitude. Thank you very much. It's really great work. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So we'll see each other in 2 hours, I hope. Well, thank you all. Enjoy the break. Take a nap, go out and enjoy. Here it's sunshine. I don't know what it's like where you are, but see you in Africa. And thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Nargis and Hela, for contributing, and to everybody else as well. So take care. Same link, by the way, so you just come right back and we'll meet in Africa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.